This movie wastes a perfect opportunity to have Tom Cruise say, "I hate sand," and I will never forget that. Or you know, I probably will. The Mummy is directed by Alex Kurtzman, written by Christopher McQuarrie, David Coeb, and Dylan Cussman, and it stars, of course, Tom Cruise, Sofia Boutella, Russell Crowe, Annabelle Wallis, and Jake Johnson. In this movie, we have an ancient princess who is accidentally awakened from her crypt beneath the desert. Nick Morton and his team of robbers, they go around these places and try to find treasures to sell on the black market, accidentally open her grave. And so now she's trying to unleash evil to the 21st century. As you guys know, you don't have to worry about spoilers when it comes to my reviews. I will say right now that the best thing that this movie does is set up the Dark Universe as a whole. I really like what this movie does for the upcoming movies, or at least the intentions of the studio for their upcoming movies. The movie does very well set up. I think it's a good first step. A rocky first step with some stumbles, we'll talk about it, but still, we have a direction to go on to. Tom Cruise is fantastic. I just respect this guy too much. At 50 years old, 52 or however old he is doing his own stunts still in this film. And there are sequences in here that his character has to pull off something major. And Tom Cruise, I believe that he is doing these. I do know that he came up with and even had the idea of how to shoot the plane crash sequence in zero gravity in a set that they built in France. And I do know that he had that underwater scene. Also, he performed it as well. There are good fight scenes in here with his character, and his character is very likable. I like this guy a lot. He's not a quitter. Also, he's not your stereotypical hero. He's not the guy who wanted to be in this situation. He's the guy that bit more than he could chew. And Tom Cruise, once more, does a fantastic job. He plays this guy with a lot of charisma. He plays this guy with a lot of fire in him. He's not necessarily, "I want to save the world," but he will still fight for the people he knows, and for himself, of course, because he has to. Because this is just too dangerous of a situation to let go on and watch by the sidelines, even though, without spoiling anything, he's kind of forced to be in this situation. The horror in this movie works really well. That's one of the better aspects as well of the movie, is the horror and, of course, the special effects. This movie has great set pieces set in it, and the special effects do look great. And we do have a menacing villain in Sofia Boutella. There is a lot of backstory to her. Some of it is not explained in the most organic way, in the best written way, but I liked her as a villain. I liked her as a presence. I liked her acting. I liked her as a villain of this movie. Her threat keeps increasing throughout. She is powerful, and she proves that she is powerful. She has just a few lines in this film, and whenever she speaks is to tell us something we already know, but whenever she's in action, she kicks all the ass there is to kick. Russell Crowe is great in this film. He's one of my favorite actors. He is fantastic. There's a lot that he does with this character. There's a lot that he brings to this character. I will not spoil who he plays, because even though I have known who he was for a long time, I understand that there are a lot of people who didn't know, who had actually no idea. In fact, even two of my friends asked me, "Who is this guy?" They didn't even know he was in this movie. So I will tell you, he is great. His character is great, but you have to see the movie to know who his character is. Just know that you will probably be happy if you like these classic monster stories. And once again, bringing us back to Sofia Boutella, I really like how they handled the mummy in this. This mummy really is scary. When they want to focus on the horror and the action, that's what this movie does best, and it does it well. The problem with this movie, the biggest issue, is the writing. I said that the best thing that this movie does is setting up the universe. That's the major worry of this film. It's focusing up the universe, and it shouldn't be. This movie should worry about being its own film, and as being its own film, it can set up a universe, but it puts itself in second place and puts the setting up in first place, and that is a problem. Not only that is a problem, but you can see that more than one person wrote this film. My biggest issue with this film is the comic relief, and not necessarily all of it. I would say 30% of the comedy works in this movie, because 30% of the comedy comes from interactions between characters, reactions to something, reactions to seeing this monster, this goddess come alive, reactions to something they did previously, and then they kind of talk about it, and they actually say something that fits with their character and the interactions that they are having. That's what worked. What didn't work was when you had these puns about something, was when Jake Johnson, who I like, and I think he worked very well as a comedic relief in Jurassic World, I think in here he was wasted, he was awful, and he was unnecessary. I really didn't like this character at all. Annabelle Wallis in this movie is kind of just there. She is in this movie. That's the best, and that's the worst that I can say about her. Not only most of the comedy doesn't work because of the good horror and action that you have in here, but there are too many abrupt tone shifts in this film. The movie just changes from scene to scene so abruptly and in such a drastic way that it's jarring at points. Again, especially with Jake Johnson's character. And you can really tell that more than one person wrote this film. This film was written by 3 people, as in the script was written by 3 people, and the story itself was made up by 3 entirely different people than the ones who wrote the script. There are scenes in this film, there are moments, there are character pieces, there are set pieces, there are entire acts in this film that you can tell, okay, I know which one of these screenwriters wrote this part. But then there are just moments where you're like, yeah, that was written by someone entirely different. The Mummy has a lot of problems in its structure, in its tone, but I had a good time. I enjoyed the horror that was to have in this movie. I enjoyed the action that was to have in this movie. I like Tom Cruise. I like the villain Sofia Boutella as the Mummy. I like what Russell Crowe brought to this film and the whole setting up of the universe. And even the biggest issues I have with this film, except for Jake Johnson, I can see not bothering me as much on a second time viewing. I will admit it right now, I will push the Mummy to a martini as it is a good time anytime. I had fun with this film. I had a good time and I am looking forward to what this universe will do next. But for many others, I can comprehend and 100% agree with that The Mummy was alright, but whether you watch it or not, your heart will go on. But what did you think of The Mummy, my beautiful geekies? Did you enjoy this one more than the last 3 ones we got? Or at least the first 2, because I know not many people like the 3rd one. I don't like the 3rd one. But let me know in the comments below, and as you go down there, check the link in the description to join the Beautiful Geek Community Facebook group. The link is in there as always. Thank you so much for watching, my beautiful geekies. You guys are the freaking best. I love you all from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And until another review, you stay beautiful, you stay geeky, and if you haven't done so yet, click the subscribe button and the bell so you can be geeky. United!